I want to talk about something that I've been noticing and been on my mind for a while. Well, while might not be the correct term, as I have been noticing it for years. An issue that with each year passes have been becoming bigger and bigger. Every time I think about it, I end up second guessing myself. Am I overreacting? Or am I reading too much into it? Whenever I have these thoughts, I always dismiss them. Until few weeks ago. A recent interview brought my concerns to the forefront, and now the issue has been turning into a major problem. Let me ask you this question. When you hear the name Metal Gear, what comes to mind? For most of us, it is not just a game series, it is a legacy. It's cinematic storytelling, unforgettable characters, and groundbreaking gameplay. It is the franchise that gave us tactical espionage action and asked us to think deeply about war, politics, and technology. However, a few weeks ago, Games Radar website reported an interview that was done in Play Magazine issue 46 with Noriaki Okamura, the Metal Gear series producer, where he mentioned something both interesting and unsettling. Okamura was talking about Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, and he said the following. One of the things that really sparked us to do the remake in general is because we realized that a lot of the newer, younger generation of gamers aren't familiar with the Metal Gear series anymore. It was basically our mission, our duty, to kind of continue making sure the series lives on for the future generations. After all, we leave behind much more than just DNA, as Solid Snake would say, but again, who is Solid Snake? This statement hit me like a punch to the gut, as it confirms my long-standing fears. As much as I appreciate Konami's honesty here, it highlights a major and alarming issue. So, for the next few days, I've been surveying the internet to see if the statement is actually correct. And guess what? The statement is accurate. Younger gamers are unfamiliar with the Metal Gear series. My hunch was right. I mean, go ask them, who is Solid Snake? And the answer you will likely get is, oh, isn't that the guy from Super Smash Bros? Or, oh, I love Snake. He is my favorite character to play in Fortnite. Those responses says it all. The franchise is being forgotten. The series is dying. Is this really the state of Metal Gear in 2024? Are we witnessing the slow death of one of gaming's greatest franchises? Let's be honest here. Konami's handling of the Metal Gear franchise has been frustrating. Since Hideo Kojima's departure, the heart and soul of the series has been missing. Fans can't help but wonder, does Konami care about the series anymore? They let the series stay dormant for nearly a decade. We have not seen any meaningful progress to the series since Metal Gear Solid V: The Phantom Pain was released in 2015. Since then, the series has been in a coma. Sure, we had Metal Gear Survive in 2018, but let's be honest. Does anyone really consider that a proper continuation of the franchise? It was a spin-off that barely resembled the core games. It lacked the heart, the vision, and the quality that defines the series. It was a bizarre spin-off that felt like a cheap attempt to milk the name without any of the series' soul. For nearly a decade, fans has been left with nothing but memories and speculations. No new mainline games, and no real efforts to bring the franchise to modern audiences. It is like Konami put Metal Gear in a vault and threw away the key. And what makes matters worse? Many of the iconic games in the series were inaccessible on modern hardware for years. From Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation to Guns of the Patriots locked on the PlayStation 3. These classics were trapped in the past. Unless you owned legacy consoles or relied on emulators, you couldn't experience these masterpieces. It is no wonder those young gamers do not know anything about the Metal Gear franchise. And it is not their fault. How could they fall in love with a series that has been largely inaccessible? How could they become fans when Konami hasn't given them a reason to care? This is an entire generation of gamers who have never experienced the series. A generation that doesn't know the thrill of sneaking past guards and Shadow Moses, the heartbreaking final moments of the boss, or the mind-bending twist of Metal Gear Solid 2. Their only true exposure to the series was strictly limited to Metal Gear Solid V: Ground Zeroes and The Phantom Pain, as these two games were the only one available on modern hardware. And this reminds me of what happened at Awesome Games Done Quick 2018. I met a guy in his 20s when he told me that Metal Gear Solid was his favorite game. So we chatted for a little bit. Then I asked him which one he liked the most. Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, or maybe 4. Imagine my surprise when he said he only played Ground Zeroes and The Phantom Pain. He never played the older, iconic titles, or even get the incentive to play them. Yeah, I wonder whose fault is that? It wasn't until the release of the Master Collection in 2023 that the series became accessible again. And even then, the collection wasn't perfect. It launched with graphical issues, bugs, and even crashes. It was a far cry from the polished remasters fans deserved. Konami eventually fixed most of these issues, but the damage was done. By then, an entire generation of gamers had already moved on. This extended hiatus allowed a generational gap to widen. Younger gamers who came of age during the rise of live service games like Minecraft and Fortnite are less familiar with the more narrative-driven experiences that defined the Metal Gear series. And that's what Okamura was talking about in the interview. This generational disconnect was the driving force to force Konami to go for remakes like Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater. This also confirms our theories of choosing the third game in the series to be remaked instead of the other ones. Konami's goal here is to reintroduce the franchise to new audiences, while still appealing to the long-time fans who grew up with it. And remaking Metal Gear Solid 3 was the perfect choice. It is the first chronologically, has a simple yet impactful story, and resonates emotionally. But even with that, fans remain cautiously optimistic. The remake could reignite the franchise, but it is also a risky move. Almost everyone that I know realizes that Delta is a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3, and that could introduce problems. But it is tough to evaluate now. I mean, look at Silent Hill 2 remake. People were skeptical about it, since it's a remake of the second game and not the first one. Yet, the game ended up being a critical and a commercial success. So, maybe the same thing will happen with Delta? We're going to have to wait and see. So the question remains, is Metal Gear dying? Is the series being forgotten? Is this the beginning of the end? Maybe, but unfortunately, the series going dormant for nearly 10 years did a massive blow to it, to the point that Metal Gear Solid Delta need to succeed. It have to. If Delta was a critical and a commercial success, it could mark a resurgence for the series. But what will happen if it fails? My answer is it shouldn't. It cannot fail. Right now, the series has reached a point where failure is not an option. The series is at a crossroads. Delta need to succeed so the series can remain relevant. Otherwise, it is over, and it becomes nothing more than a relic of a gaming history. This is the situation that Konami put themselves into with Metal Gear. So, how can Konami get themselves out of it? What's the solution? How do we ensure that Metal Gear isn't forgotten? In my opinion, first, Konami need to fully commit to the franchise. No more half measures. We need remakes, remasters, and dare I say it, a new mainline game. Like a reboot or a soft reboot. And I'm not talking about some cheap cash grab like Survive. I'm talking about a project that respects the series' legacy and push it forward. Second, young gamers do not know much about the series, so Konami need to market the series to them. Show them why Metal Gear matters, highlights its history, its innovations, and its relevance. I don't care how, just make them care. And finally, more engagement with the community. Metal Gear has one of the most passionate fan bases in gaming. We are here, and we are ready to support the series. Konami just needs to meet us halfway. In conclusion, Metal Gear doesn't have to die. The series has everything it needs to make a comeback. An incredible legacy, a passionate fan base, and a world of untapped potential. But the question is, the real question is, does Konami have the will to make it happen? Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Metal Gear has been forgotten? Are you excited for the future, or are you worried the series is in its final days? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.